Hey Kim, yeah, no one's on here, dude. I don't know why. Probably because the link didn't work.
Oh, the link?
The link wasn't working earlier. Like when
Yeah,
right at 1 o'clock, it was a wrong link.
that's true. Yeah, me too had the issue. I tried like a 10 minutes or 15 minutes trying. I was about to give up. The link had an issues. I put, I think the verification mode, put the password, but couldn't let me get into the, yes. It will have to be rescheduled.
I don't know. So I'm trying to figure out because it looks like there's conflicting information here. Hold on 1 second. What is up, all my sharp agents here? Thanks for sticking with it, guys. Looks like we had some problems earlier, but looks like we're doing good now. Can y'all hear me okay?
Yes, we can hear now.
Okay, cool. All right, so we are going to do the condensed version of this class. And we're going to go ahead and jump right in.
So which meeting ID are we under? Because I'd rather open it on my computer.
It's under the one that's listed on 1k2sa.com.
And is it the same password?
Yeah, the one. So if you click launch live stream, that link was wrong before, but it's been corrected.
Oh, okay.
At least that's what I've been told.
Yeah, it's not working.
All right. Fortunately, the amount of information that needs to be covered for this class isn't very large. So we'll be all right. Okay, can everybody see my screen? Okay.
Yes.
All right, so today, if you notice what the title was on 1k2sa.com, the class is Create Docusign Rooms in Command. It's kind of confusing why it's called that, but we'll work on the name later. But what we're going to do is we're going to start out in Command. So if everybody can navigate to agent.kw.com, we will begin our session. All right. So as most of you already know, opening up a Docusign room through Command is pretty straightforward using the Opportunities section. Megan, are you using Command right now?
A little bit.
A little bit. Okay. Are you using it for your forms and such?
Not so much the forms, but been putting a few opportunities in and started tracking them that way.
Okay, great. So that's where we're going to start. We're going to start in opportunities. Okay, and then we're going to discuss forms. All right, we're going to use my go-to cartoon character here, Bugs Bunny. Okay, so this is a view once you click into the opportunity. And we're going to begin here in the document section. There's Larry. All right. So when you begin a room, please forgive me, this one is my test room, obviously. So I've already done this once before. But when you're in opportunities and you click DocuSign, you have to have Docusign Rooms connected to your command account. And what you'll see right here is a grayish button here that says start a transaction. Okay. Has anybody used that button before? Other than me and everybody else on here, looks like. Adriana, have you used that before?
I have.
Not yet.
Cool.
Not yet.
Okay. So yours will look a little different. If yours will say start a transaction. Okay. So don't base it on what you're seeing right here. This is what it looks like after you start the transaction. Okay. Let's see. Maybe I can fix this a little bit here. There you go. So that's the button you're going to be looking for. Okay. It says start a transaction. So after you click start a transaction, you'll have these options here. Once you click start a transaction, it'll direct you directly to your room. It'll have Docusign Room splash page come up. You just log right in. Enter your email and your password. And it brings us to our room. Okay. So this is the Docusign Rooms. So Megan, is this the first time you're seeing this?
I saw it on one of the videos that you had recorded before,
Okay.
but I hadn't been able to get to it myself directly. When I hit transaction, it kept pulling me back to Loop instead of DocuSign.
Okay. So what you need to do is correct your settings within Command. Okay. So it's right here. And you'll need to connect Docusign to your command.
Okay.
Okay. The integration with .loop is, it's not the greatest. You may just want to disconnect it if you want to just use the Docusign stuff, okay? So you'll find .loop and you'll just see a disconnect button here, just like you see everything else here, disconnect account. Okay. So once you get that all set up, there's a specific form that I can send you to. Just shoot me your email real quick and I'll make sure to get that file, okay?
Thank you.
That'll go through the Docusign Room setup, and it's important to do that so that everything is ready to go for you to use. Okay.
Jesse, can I add one thing to help on the other on the command section right before you went into your DocuSign, where it says start a transaction or go to transaction, make sure nobody hits sync transaction. That just creates a whole bunch of problems. I actually had an agent from another state call me one night and said, I just had to call to see how I can fix this. I get your name on all of my forms. So it was really strange. So, and I told him not to hit sync transaction again because it was happening to me. I was getting all kinds of different KW agents from all over the nation.
Yeah, that's weird. I don't exactly know what that is or why that is. But what it's supposed to do when you only need to click it once, first of all.
Right. I don't click it at all anymore.
Yeah. It's just the one time, which is pretty good. And all it does is refresh this information that's right here, this basic information for your contact. That's all it does. That's all it's meant to do anyway. So if it's doing something else, we'll need to
Yeah.
fire up a ticket, make sure support gets on that.
Okay.
Okay, so in essence, what we have just done is create a Docusign room. So we can just call it done and be like, all right, that took 5 minutes. Everybody good? Just kidding. We're not going to do that. There's a lot more that we can do within this room right now. And that's exactly what we're going to do. Okay, so one question I get usually is like, how do I organize my room? How do I organize this Docusign rooms? Teresa or another agent had a question in the last few weeks about how to organize these things. Okay. Now, if you notice here, I've created a folder. It's called Buyer Consultation Docs. You see that? So I'm going to show you how to create a folder real quick. Over here in the action section, you click on that, and there's the add folder option. Click on that, and you're able to call your folder whatever you need it to be called. So if you're working for a buyer, unless they're like the strongest buyers and not caring about the competition and just entering offers that beats everybody else every single time, you may not need to do this. But for those of us that have buyers that we've offered on 12 different homes, want to keep track of everything. So this is one way to do that. Okay. So for this example, the address that's attached to this was an old listing of mine. So I'm going to say, I'm going to call this folder the address. Okay. And actually, I'm going to change this order a little bit here. I'm going to say offer and then hit create. Okay. So there's that area there. So once I have some docs that have been executed for this specific property, I can then begin to drag and drop documents into those specific sections. See how I did that? Just click and drag. It's kind of cool. I like that feature.
Jesse, can you create a folder within a folder? For example, could you make the buyer's name one of them? And if they offered on 12 different houses, like you said, could you have 12 different folders under that buyer's folder name?
So you're gonna, so every opportunity will have one connected room. So in essence, what we're doing is just that, what you're asking, folders within the folders. So think of the room as the room as a greater folder, and everything that I'm doing here is just subdividing everything. Okay. So no, to answer that other question, can you make a new folder in the folder? There isn't that option, but you're in essence doing that anyway. You're working with one buyer at a time or one client at a time per room, per opportunity, usually, right? Hope that makes sense. But yeah, that's how that will go. Now you'll notice the form actually calls itself a form, which is nice. Don't you like it when things are called what they're supposed to be called? So what this is here is just a blank form. It's really straightforward. You can enter in the information that you have for this particular deal or this buyer, in essence, since we're looking to buy a broker agreement here, right? You'll just go ahead and fix some stuff. Who is Brenna Goldful? I have no idea who that is, so we're going to get rid of that. It's important to make sure that you're looking at the right name. So one thing I did notice, actually, now that I'm thinking about this, Larry showed me something particular the other day. When I opened up a form, see if it does it again. It's just supposed to do this. It's just supposed to let us see what's happening here. In some cases, what we have noticed is there are more options here on this side. And one of them would be drag signature and stuff like that. And when you did that, it'd bring up some random agent's name from somewhere else or something. But that's not what it's supposed to do. You're not going to set signatures in this portion here. Okay, this is all just filling in gaps.
Yeah, that did that to me too, Jesse.
Yeah, oh, that's right. Yeah. So it's happened, and I saw it too. And it looks like it's been remedied to an extent, but it still has some lingering things going on with it. Double check your details section here.
Mhm.
Okay, that's going to be important. So that looks correct. Let's make sure my information looks correct. Who the heck is Brenna Goldfold? That's not my information. So bye.
See, that's when you hit the sync. It's grabbing that information arbitrarily from other agents.
It's really strange.
Mhm. And it's throwing it right
It's
here.
not. Someone somewhere changed the setting and it made everything go crazy for us. Okay. But we are all very thorough agents and we make sure to double check everything before we send it out, right?
That's right.
Good. Make sure you do that.
Yeah, we're at the point of now you have to do that while this system is still growing.
You know, for me personally, I am such a stickler about things that I want to make sure that it looks and is perfect before I even think about sharing it for signature. So I check it like 3 or 4 times, but that's just me, just making sure I cross all those T's and dot all those I's.
Well, on your address 1 up there, you got some weird address. So,
Oh yeah.
but yeah, since I quit hitting the sync button at all, then none of my information is being switched around. And that way I don't have to redo my forms 4 times.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so let's fix it.
Same thing
I'll
here.
make a note of this and make sure that I have at least knowledge of an open ticket to correct those things.
And also, if you're putting 2 agents in, it keeps changing around the address too.
Okay, that's good to know.
And I stopped doing sync too, but even with that, I've still had a couple fall through that it's automatically changing stuff after you put it in the envelope.
Yeah,
Oh, that's not good.
so we have some time in here because there's something else I want to show you, which I think is pretty cool. Does anybody have experience using zip forms?
Yeah, a little
Anybody heard
bit.
of zip forms before?
A little
Yeah.
bit.
Cool. Let me show you something. I'm just gonna correct this information here, just to make sure. And then I'll show you what I mean by the use of zip forms. All right, so that looks all correct now. Let's make sure it's saved appropriately. I'm gonna do a quick refresh. Yep, that looks good. And it looks like we're solid everywhere else. Okay, cool. So zip forms, check this out. In your settings, in your preferences rather, under integrations, there is an option to integrate Zip Form Plus to it. Okay, Zip Forms is a benefit from NAR. Okay, Zip Forms was what we had been using as a benefit from AAR, so all the AAR forms were there in the library, and they still are. But they're no longer the preferred. They've moved over to Transaction Desk as the preferred for documents and such, but it is still available to use. Okay, so you can tell right here, based on what you're seeing, I have my account linked up, right? It says unlink this account, and I don't want to do that. I'm going to leave it as is. Let me go ahead and show you what Zip Forms looks like. Okay.
Does zip forms get updated with all the new forms?
Yeah, I thought they were changing that.
Yeah, I think as I recall, that zip forms and .loop will no longer be updated.
So Zip Forms at this point has been updated. It has all the current versions of the forms.
Oh, that's good.
Okay, so it is there, which is a good thing. Here, let me just go to templates. Check this out. I like this a lot better
Mm-hmm.
for templates, right? So the one thing everybody was asking about, well, why do I want to keep having to put in my
Mm-hmm.
title company's name or my warranty information or my agent information in there every time? So this is what my template looks like in Zip Forms. Pretty simple. Okay. Now that I have my integration ready to go, it's all signed up. I know I have a transaction does. So let's actually show you something here. Let's see if we can find this zip forms integration here. Let me show you. So here are all the forms, right? So here are the form libraries. So there's AAR, there's some other miscellaneous things. There's the Melissa, there's some NAR forms, several of them. There's TAR forms, right? So we have essentially everything that we need with the exception of the ABA, right? That's the only form that isn't uploaded there because that's not the system that KWSA uses, but I still uploaded it and it's still there to be used if I so choose. Okay, let's see here. Let's see, I want to go to, let's see, we might be able to get it in here. So let's look for it. Oops. I typed it wrong. No, nothing in there. So there are ways we can find this benefit. I'd done it such a long time ago, guys, and forgive me for not remembering. I remember everything else except this. But I'll find the information and I'll make sure to send it to all of you, okay?
Okay.
In any case, it'll help you bring up
I
this.
stopped remembering things a long time ago.
What was that?
I said, don't feel too bad. You know, as we get older, we all have those memory gaps.
I try to exercise my memory really well and keep it up. I can remember a lot of other processes just fine. It's just, you see right here, as it says, National Association of Realtors down there, right on the bottom corner. That's because it is available for that. Okay.
Great.
So we know we have a forms available. Here's our room, right? So let's go back to our Bugs Bunny room here. Okay, so if I click add, I have two options. I can add the form using Docusign Forms, just like right here. And then pick the appropriate library of where the forms are. Megan's making some faces, so we'll go ahead and slow down. So our forms are chunked up into different things, right? So we have AAR, which is where our purchase contract is, anything that actually has this little disclosure in it. All the AAR forms have this disclosure typically. Right, it'll have this little disclosure here. Everybody see that? So if you know that you're going to be looking at a form with this, you're going to find this specific form in that specific library for AAR.
That helps.
Okay. If you're a part of, say you're working out of Sierra Vista or you're working in Phoenix, all of them are attached to the ARMLS or the Arizona Regional MLS. So make sure to include those forms that are specific to your region or what's required to your MLS. Make sure you're using that. KW 495 or KW 861. It'll vary depending on where you're, which market center you're hanging your license. Okay, here is where you'll find the ABA. Okay. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and add that. And what's great about adding the ABA from the Docusign Forms library is it's editable, it's fillable. Okay. There's a quick little demo. Right, so it automatically populated that address, which is correct. And then all I would do is just add names. Pretty cool, right?
Yeah. Hey, Jesse, where would I find, I get maybe get the Keller Mortgage, Keller Mortgage ABA? Why do I need to go to the Keller Mortgage website?
Yeah, so.
I wish it was in there. It'd been nice.
Yeah, I wish it were too. But you'll need to have that disclosure if you talk anything about Keller Mortgage.
Mhm.
for your listings and your
Can you
for your
see if
listings
someone can put it
and
in?
your buyers.
Yeah. Can you see if someone can put that form in with our other ABA? Is there anybody in our office that can do that or not?
I can see.
Okay.
I'm not sure because we'll see who we need to submit it to actually. Okay, so if we go to Keller Mortgage Agent Login.
Because I found an old one in Dot Loop. They did have one in Dot Loop, but it looks ancient.
Yeah, it looks like we have to get in contact with Docusign to get that uploaded and fillable for us.
Okay.
Okay. Otherwise, you can just upload the form itself, and then you can just place your text boxes in the appropriate areas.
Okay.
Let's see. Where was that? I was just here hanging out the other day.
Yeah, one nice thing about DocuSign is we can put in a PDF, and then we can, when you go to the signature section, you can add signatures to your PDFs, even if there wasn't a form in.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Here it is. Here's the ABA form. So here is the ABA for Keller Mortgage, right? So I'm going to download this actually.
Yeah, that looks more updated than the one I found in Dot Loop.
Okay, so you just saw me download it, so I'm going to click add here. Actually, they should just add it to this, but whatever.
Mhm.
You can have more than one ABA. That's okay. So I'm going to add this from my computer here.
Mhm.
There it is. And click open. So the same process that I hear. Oh, this is so funny. Did you see that little picture? It was like when you realize that Taylor Swift looks just like Napoleon Dynamite. Oh, that was pretty cool. But here's the ABA, right? So there's the form.
Mhm.
Right, but this is a PDF, so you can't assign anything to it.
Yeah, you can.
Not from here like you would have
Not
found.
there, but in the signatures in the envelope. Mhm.
Yeah, so when you send this off for signature, you can place your own text boxes and add your signature,
Mhm.
right? If it's part of your disclosures, check it out. Like, I'm going to kind of go on a little tangent here, but all of you know that I created my own template for consultation docs. So an ABA is considered a consultation doc, right?
Mhm.
So I'm just going to go here, go to my templates, and I'm going to go to this one, and I'm going to edit. I'm going to upload a doc, that same one. And I'm going to call this. Okay. That. I'll place it right there.
Mhm.
That all looks good still. Click next. And then I'm going to go to that to ABA. Okay. And I'm going to add my text box. Okay. And I'm going to actually copy this, paste the location, and then just make the adjustments. Right. We all know a property address is not going to fit in that little tiny space, so we'll just leave it right there. Okay. And then we're going to add our signature boxes. Signature here. We'll resize it. You can resize this too. By the way, did you guys know that? You can resize this, the time, the date sign time box there. 7 is a pretty good size, I think. So it'll go out to like right here.
Yeah, that'll help from it going off the page.
Yeah, so make your signature box smaller and then let it go right there, right? And then you just go buyer 2, do the same thing.
Mhm.
Date signed. And that's it. So I've just made that edit to my template and I'm good. So that's how you would use it, Larry. That's how you would set it up. I mean, you can do that when you set up your envelope for signature, but that's how you can do it. Or, and I say or because it's an option, may not be ideal, but you could open that up in your PDF reader or Adobe Reader, right? Adobe Reader DC. And you can make it a fill and sign form. You can fill everything in Adobe, save it, and then upload it in there. I mean, it's extra process, but there's more than one way to skin a cat is what I always say, right?
Yep.
So that's another option, which is why I like having this class, because we can talk about options, and that's exactly what we're doing here.
Well, we are the option providers, right?
Yeah, let's do it. Gotta get the options. And Megan, it's not meant to confuse you or anything like that. We're just here to give you options. It's nice knowing that you have them. We don't want to limit you. Okay, so back to this room. And if I want to get these ready for signature, so to give you reference to how I use that template, Megan, this is the way it looks. Okay, so I'm right here. I'm going to go to envelopes. I'm going to click new, brings me here. Then I'm going to click use a template, and then I'm going to select that template. Where did it go? Is it this one?
So if I'm understanding correctly, the envelope is how you create the signatures and add any text in that you need to.
For PDFs, yeah. Well, that didn't do anything. Well, there we go. Last modified date. We're going off that. Right. So I didn't add any of these. I didn't add any of these forms really to my room there, and you'll notice here what it does. There they are. You see that? Now it's populated those forms with the template that I created for them. So when I send this off for signature, I'm going to make sure every time I use a form, I'm going to click add recipient and select pre-tag roles and just assign it. Okay, so we just picked the right person. Right. Just like that. Click add selected, and by doing that, all of the fields required will now be populated for signature, right? So I'm gonna click next so you can see that. Okay, so again, this is what I had entered. And here's that area right there. Okay, so just to fill it in, we just type in right there, and it'll be good to go. Okay, actually, who I want this to go to specifically, I want this to be me to fill out. So I'm going to change that to Realtor. That's my name, and I'll fill out this information here. Right. Oh, looks like I missed one. So we're going to put another text box right there. See how easy this is to just add something if you forgot it from before? Just go in, boom, make a change. So everything that has a little flag right here means that there's an action required for that specific signer. Does everybody see that?
Mm-hmm.
Right, so buyer broker has a 3, right? We'll click onto that one and take us right to that form. See that there? Pretty cool. That's a great signature template right there. Not to toot my own horn or anything like that, but it works. It works really well, right? So that's one thing you can do. And before I recommended creating a template for those type of docs, right? These disclosures makes it easy, especially if you're having consultations online or via Zoom or whatever video service you like to use. It makes it easy just to have these available. Boom, you just send it to them in email, and then you go over the docs with them online as you're having that meeting. It works really well.
So did you take the docs from Zip Forms and created a template in Docusign? Is that what?
Those forms specifically were forms that I took from the Docusign libraries. They were just blank forms. I downloaded them and then uploaded them on the other side of Docusign for those signatures. Now, I'm glad you brought up Zip Forms because that's exactly where I was coming back. Okay. Say I like my purchase contract template from Zip Forms. I'm going to click Add, and then I'm going to click Docusign Forms. Right. So when I do this, it's going to ask, not Docusign Forms, Zip Forms, excuse me. And it's going to ask me which transaction I'm going to link this to. Well, I'm creating a new transaction with a Zip form, so I'm going to click Create. And we'll call it this, and it is a purchase, right? What type is this? Purchase, the lease. And this will help determine on what template gets entered in. And then what property type? I'm going to select residential. Obviously, that's how I work. That's what I focus on. That's my specialty. So I'm going to click Create. So it's going to then create a Zip Forms transaction for me. And what's awesome is that I don't even have to go into Zip Forms to do anything with these forms. I can just say, yep, let's go ahead and add some forms. I can choose the Zip Form library, or I can choose the link transaction. Either one works. The link transaction, if you have a template applied to a certain type, then it will have forms in there. But you'll have to build a template within Zip Forms for this to work. Or you can just go straight library. In this case, I'm going to show you link transaction. Okay. So I'm going to do that. And then it has these specific forms that are there. Right. So they're just the consultation docs. Right. So there's the buyer advisory, buyer broker. I don't want to bring these ones in because they're not fillable. They're fillable from Docusign Rooms, which is nice. But those other ones I'm good with. And I'll bring over the purchase contract too because I know I'll end up using it. Okay, so I'm going to click Add. And you'll notice by me adding these Zip Forms to Docusign Rooms, the little icon changes. Everybody see that? Has the little lone wolf symbol, and then it has ZFX rather than form, right? Like it says over here for the Docusign Forms. So that means that it's from a different library or a different service, which is pretty cool. Now I can go in here, open up this buyer broker agreement, and check out how the interface is different. It's actually the interface that you would find in Zip Forms. All right, see that? It's all different. There's a lone wolf symbol right there. Boom. How cool is that? I like it. Right, so there's a template ready to go, just as I need it. Then I just fill in the gaps or fill in the blanks. That's all I would do. You can save it as a PDF. You have all these extra options that we don't normally have in Docusign. So in the last time I talked about Zip Forms in this class specifically, I talked about how Zip Forms is form oriented, right? So everything about Zip Forms is about forms. It's in the name, Zip Form, right? Docusign Rooms is around your electronic signatures.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So that's why we're able to use Zip Form within this and still use this form to send out in an envelope for signature. Okay.
So is Zip Forms easier to do templates like you have?
Oh, absolutely. Way easier.
Okay, great.
So much simpler. And what's cool, like this was the hard part, right? These larger form sections, right? The long paragraph sections, right? So I'm just going to type in some random stuff here, right? The reason I'm doing this is so you can see that it actually places it correctly in the lines. And then I can do run-ons. If I were to do the same exact thing in Zip Forms, I would have to type up to the limit, hit tab, start typing again, up to the limit, hit tab, so on and so forth.
You
And
mean inside of
Yeah.
DocuSign room forms, yeah. They're not, it's not, it doesn't do this feature, which is what I like, right?
Yeah, I love that feature too, because the other DocuSign's so cumbersome.
Yeah. I mean, DocuSign Rooms is great. It's almost there. Like if it did this all day long,
Mm-hmm.
like all day long, I would just use DocuSign Rooms. Just for, it just lacks this feature. I've done many transactions with this, with using zip forms and with using DocuSign Rooms. I mean, you can do it. They're usable. They're both usable. But again, we're talking about options, right, Megan? Make sure we don't leave anything out. Okay. So you can create your templates in zip forms. So if you're on a team or you know of a team that really loves their zip forms and doesn't want to get away from it to use DocuSign Rooms, well, they don't really have to. They can just integrate it right into DocuSign Rooms and it'll work great. Right, so what do I mean by that? Well, I can just click on these docs, right? So I'm going to select them. You notice that the little check mark is in the upper left corner, right? So we just click them, just like that. And if I want to send these out for signature, I just got to click that button right there that says DocuSign. Looks like a little pen. Oh, I know why. Check this out. It says it can't load it because it's blank. And I know why. Let me show you why. So before you add anything, make sure that it at least has your client name in it. That's all that little warning was about. So I'm in the buyer advisory. I'm going to go to the very bottom page, right? Notice how the name section is blank. I'm going to do the other one. Hit save.
So Jesse, can you add so like in my forms, I have a buyer folder and a seller's folder or templates that I just create a new transaction from in the past. And I would fill in the cover page first, so then it would roll into all the other forms. Could you do the cover page through zip forms on this so it types in the buyer's signature for all of the zip forms that you put into the DocuSign room?
Yeah, so check this out. Let me hit refresh here.
Did that question make sense?
Yeah, I got you. Hopefully I can answer it. But here's that room, right? So here's that transaction. Just working on it now. And here's that specific cover sheet that you're talking about, right? Here's where you're going to add your parties. Okay, so I got one buyer. I'm going to need a second buyer. So buyer 2, oh, it's already in there. So that's good, right? And then just fill in the blanks. Usually at least the minimum of a email address to get this rocking and rolling. Right, so we got these cool things happening, and then let's look at these docs. So these are the exact same docs that are in the room. So you can work on them in DocuSign Rooms, you can work on them in zip forms, whatever your preference is. Right, so I come in here, and there they are, Bugs Bunny and Lola Rabbit. It's already entered in there. Here's that buyer advisory we're working on. Because I saved it on the other one, guess what? They're right there too. So it's a true integration of zip forms within DocuSign Rooms, and it functions like that, which is awesome.
Thank you.
Okay, so yeah, making your templates is pretty easy. And we're over time already. Well, we'll go a little bit longer if you all are down, since we had a little bit of technical issues to start out. Under templates here, notice how residential purchase, residential listing, stuff like that, right? You just hit create new, and then you can choose what it is. So we purchase, I can call it whatever I'd like, and it'll be residential. And I can choose whether I want it to apply automatically to residential transactions, or I can select it myself. Right? It's kind of cool what you can do with it. You just go through the setup stages in the wizard, then you add your docs into the template, and you're done. Your template's done. Of course, you fill out your information, right? You fill out your agent information, your license number, your MLS ID, your broker information. If you know that you're always going to have a home buyer warranty part of your offer, throw that information in there. If you love your title person and your buyers are okay with you using them, select them, throw their information in the purchase contract, you're ready to go. Anything that you know that you're going to use a lot, various times, add them as a template. It's pretty cool.
So once, say that the client signs the documents, are we starting to use, or when do we start using command for our compliance with having the docs reviewed?
It's happening now, right? So you'll notice here that I've added some docs to this command section. So you will be in the opportunity under the document section, and you will begin adding your documents to the specific checklist here. Okay, each one has a required, each one that's required is labeled as such. Anything optional or conditionally required is labeled as such. So it's split up a couple different ways. So you got one, consultation is done. There it is, consultation docs, that's all that you put in there. So that's the ABA, the ready form, the buyer advisory, the buyer fraud advisory, buyer broker, power of attorney if you need it, or LLC type information if you're working with an investor that operates out of an LLC. Then once you're under contract, then you'll begin using this other section that has quite a bit more. And all you would do is click add attach multiples, and you can select Docusign there to pull it right from the room. As you notice here, all the forms that I have in there are available in this drop down, and you just select the correct one that's pertinent to what's required. And once you have it all selected, you click on attached, and then you'll notice that the docs look like this, right? It'll have a specific name attached to it. So this is the broker copy. So the broker wants to open this up, they can see that this ABA was signed and stuff like that, and it's ready to go. Okay. And if it's rejected for whatever reason, this is where it'll be. Here's the history. This is the current version. So say your doc was rejected and you replaced it, you'll have different versions here. You'll have previous version and current version. So the one that you replaced the old one with will be the current version. That's really cool. You have an option here to download that form for this section here, which I think is great. You can also print it if you'd like. There's also a really cool form here, feature of this that I want to show you guys. So you see this right here? Export selected documents. If I click that, and it'll be in a zip file, and you can either add a password to it or not. Select export all documents, and if you have multiple documents in the various placeholder sections, you can check those boxes and export everything. So then you'll have a copy of exactly what was entered in for the broker.
If you uncheck that zip thing at the top, would it give it to you in just a file with the full files?
You don't get a choice. That it's because of the size of all the documents put together, the zip folder condenses them or compresses them, right? So it takes less space on the hard drive and makes
right,
it.
Yeah, that I understand. In Docs or in .loop, if you check all those documents and download it, it comes, even if it's 378 pages, it's just one big PDF file.
No, but you see what it says right here? It says separate files. So it's not going to be just one long file. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
Okay, cool. So yeah, that's the way it does it. It actually works. I actually did it not too long ago just to try it out on this specific one, and it came out just fine.
And that basically becomes an electronic version of your stored file for the 5-year ADRE thing.
Yep. So then add that to your Google Drive or Dropbox or Box, whatever cloud service you like to use, you can use it there. I never recommend adding anything to a hard drive because those things go out and there's no redundancy, right? So this is my favorite computer. I got 2 terabytes of storage space on it. Great. Your drives just went out. Now you no longer have your electronic copies and you're no longer compliant for the 5 to 7 years. You know?
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I like using a cloud service. Technically, it's somebody else's computer, but it's encrypted and they're there for a specific purpose to store those files, and it's private, which is good. So their servers have redundancy attached all over it. So that's a good thing. Any other questions?
Well, I was just going to say, I like on my buyer consultation and also the listing consultation, I like the market conditions disclosure. And you can add that right there too in your consultation. If you close that, yeah. Like add item, then you can type right where it says add, yeah, up there. And then you can just type it in and then you just drag your file right in there from Docusign or whatever.
You know, it's interesting. I noticed this. Have you ever really looked at everything that's included in the buyer advisory?
Is the market conditions in there or not?
It is. Market conditions is right there, and so is buyer.
So, okay, so I don't really need a separate one.
It's there for you to use if that's the way you like to have your practice, and just because usually people skim over this entire thing because it is 14 pages long.
Yeah.
Literally the longest buyer disclosure ever. Unless it's part of your practice to not skip it,
Mm-hmm.
it may just still be a good thing to just include it as a separate form.
Yeah.
I'm sorry to interrupt. The market conditions form that we've been using, it's a standalone form, is identical to this.
It covers the same information. That's why it's not included as one of the required ones, right? It doesn't say market conditions here. It does, however, say it on the listing site. That makes it different, right? So if I had a listing,
That's what I was going to ask you, because it does show up as a required doc on the listing side.
right? It's because it's not included. There's not a seller's advisory, right? There's just the buyer's advisory. It doesn't encompass everything. So we have to have it as a separate form for listings. So pretty cool. So what do you guys think about these options?
I like it. I just feel that it's a lot to become comfortable with for it to become a quicker process. I feel like I'm going to stumble through it at the beginning for a while because there's a lot of different, looks like a lot of different places you have to go to make it all kind of work, but it has the options, like you're saying, of how to make it streamlined once you know what you're doing.
Yeah, and what's cool is it doesn't take long to set these things up. It looks like it does because there's a lot. I showed you 2 different things, but if you want to do it in just the one, it's pretty easy. Whatever side you do it in.
The other thing I was going to bring up, the zip forms thing does make it look like it's real easy to work with once you build out those templates. Maybe we ought to try and see if we can get the brokers to go ahead and continue updating the zip forms file so that you're still pulling the correct form.
Yeah, that's something that that's something that I'm curious to see because I do know that AAR has made that switch, right? So let's see, Arizona Association. So here we are. It's always one or the other. Okay. So you'll notice here, Transaction Desk is the preferred for AAR. Before this used to say zip forms. Okay. Now it's a matter of whether AAR if you continue to pay, if you pay for the zip forms, which is pretty reasonable per year. It's less than $100 is what I noticed. If they will continue to update them, if agents continue to pay for it. So that's one question that I have. But I do know that the brokers just want to have one service that they'll be updating, and it's really only the ABA that's getting updated by the brokerage. All the other forms are getting updated by the MLSs and the associations. Does that make sense? At least that's my understanding of it.
Can you say that again, please?
So the documents themselves are actually being updated by the appropriate associations or multiple listing services. They're in control of those forms. The only true form that we have that is updatable by the brokerage is the ABA form. That's my understanding of it anyway.
Gotcha. Thank you.
So
The question becomes, if you build a template, using zip forms, then, store it there in the command system. And then, you get the announcement at one of the, coffee with the broker thing or something like that. Oh, there's a new form for the purchase contract. Well, now you have to go back through and go, okay, is the one that I'm using now dead? Do I have to get the new one? Do I have to upload? Even it's playing with all of that each time a form updates and knowing where to go to change.
well, those things won't be done automatically, right? So DocuSigns will receive copies of the updated forms. Zip forms should be, at least it's been up to this point, been compliant with that. Actually, I wanted to show the purchase contract. Here we go. So one way that you can check to see that your form is up to date is by, one, it's going to be in the title, but it'll also be on the form itself. Right here in the upper corner here. Right, so if you're using a form, make sure that it has the most recent version, and the brokers usually announce what version it will be, right? They'll say it'll be February 2020 of the updated purchase contract, and it's right there. Okay. I like it. It's cool. It's actually my favorite way of handling my paperwork nowadays. Any other questions? If you want me to have a specific class on just setting up zip forms, we can do that. Just let me know if you want to use it.
That would be helpful.
Especially with the template.
I didn't hear you, Renee. What was that?
Oh, I said that would be helpful for me because I know that we use Jill for our TC and I know she uses zip forms, so.
Yeah. And what's kind of cool too, with zip forms, is there's actually an integration here. Let me see if I can remember where it's at.
That MLS integration?
Well, that's not the one I was
Oh, okay.
talking about, but there is
Hey, if you want that now, don't you?
a transaction coordinator thing.
Oh, nice.
But it's with getting the Wolf Elite agent or whatever. It's with getting this, it comes part of that.
Okay.
But yeah, the MLS stuff, it's pretty cool. So check this out. If I wanted to bring
Yeah, but
in,
you have to pay for that part though, don't you?
yeah, it's not expensive. It's pretty cheap.
Oh, okay. I just had to pay
If
for
you
it.
love it so much, like it'll be worth it. I mean,
I haven't used it, so I don't know.
yeah, I thought it was worth it, so I bought it. I was like, okay. So it's this right here. So when I come in here, actually it's at the beginning. When you start adding transactions, it'll ask you to link an MLS number. So if you're representing a buyer or whatever, you enter in that MLS number, it'll pull everything from that specific listing. So it'll have zoning and parcel, legal description, things like that. It's pretty cool. But Docusign Rooms is not far behind.
That's provided that the listing agent put the correct information in.
And that's why we do our property verifications. Make sure to do those. Even though they're optional, it's a good habit to have. Cover yourself and your buyers.
I like DocuSign if it wouldn't keep changing my fields.
And that's a mapping thing. It's a settings for the mapping of the forms and the sections. We don't have control over that, unfortunately. It's all DocuSign. So whoever was messing around with it over there messed around and clicked something they
Well, when you try to get support on it, they throw you back and forth between KW support and DocuSign support.
Yeah, I've heard that too, and that's
So I don't even know.
according to what we have talked about with the KWRI bunch. Is like they're not supposed to do that, but
Yeah. Because every time I've sent something about it, I just get thrown back and forth and I give up. But
yeah, I hear you. So that's it for today. We can go shoot me an email. It looks like Adriana sent me her email, which is great. And I think I got some notifications that Megan, you sent me some things too. So I'll be able to send you those Docusign Rooms setup docs and the actual flow. So one thing that I did want to touch on before we left is some things that I've heard from agents were like, well, I don't understand why I have to start everything in Command. Why can't I just do it right in Docusign Rooms to get things going? Like we used to do with .loop. Like it's designed a certain way. Okay, Command for KWSA or for any Keller Williams agent, it's designed from beginning to end, right? So it's your CRM, it's everything in between from beginning. So you make first contact with somebody, you get a name, you get their information, boom, they're in Cultivate, you work them all the way through, and then you get them under contract. That's where the document side comes in, and that's what makes it easier to use the Docusign Room. So it's that specific flow. If you try to just jump in right in the middle, it's going to be clunky and it's going to frustrate the heck out of you. Honestly, it will. So there's another document that'll include Adriana, and for you, Megan and Adriana, that has the actual flow for the documents and such. It'll also include some instructions with zip forms, just how to integrate it in there. So you'll see that too. But yeah, that's it. That's all I got for today. Any other questions before we sign off? Oh, by the way, somehow our ALC Technology Committee meeting was not scheduled for this month. So if you're interested in being a part of our ALC Tech Committee meeting, shoot me an email, let me know, and I will be sending out a link for that meeting for possibly later this week if everybody can make it.
What's ALC Tech? What's
ALC Tech Committee? We didn't have a meeting last month because no one showed up. It was just me and Larry.
I was busy, but I didn't know it was called ALC Tech. I didn't know if it was a different thing. I thought there was one on the schedule for next week, though.
I didn't see it.
Oh, it's on my calendar.
I didn't see it, and it's supposed to be the same day as Growth Committee, which is today. But it didn't happen. So we'll.
Yeah, I have it on my calendar twice for next week.
That's weird. So we need to get that fixed.
It was Heather sent the invite.
Well, when did that happen? Because I didn't even.
I don't know because it's on my calendar twice, so she sent it out 2 different times too.
Okay, well, I will get that fixed. But in any case, I am going to just schedule it myself because of all the recent technology problems that we've been having with these rooms. So if you're interested in being a part, just shoot me an email, let me know, and we'll get you a link so you can be participating. So what we go over is how to get technology up and running for us, how do we get better involvement, what can we do differently with our trainings, and any other things like that. We're very open, and we're always looking to grow and better our processes for that. So be happy to have you guys. Anyway, have a great week, guys. I hear everybody's been kicking butt, so continue to do so, and we will see you Thursday.
Thanks, Jesse.
All right, thanks, everybody. Bye now.